Yeah, there you go, recording.
Hello, gents, and no ladies, unfortunately. Hope everyone is doing well today. So today we'll be discussing token utilities. And can everyone see the screen of the presentation okay? Is it all good? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's get right into it. Let's not punish the punctual, as I have stolen from Alex, who I believe stole that from Chris, who I believe stole that from someone else from the Relief team. So first of all, Simplicity Group, exploring token utilities. A little bit of an intro on us. Most of you guys don't need it. We've already been working together for about 3 weeks now. In the worst case of scenarios and in the best case of scenarios, we've worked prior as well. So I'll skip over this slide, but if anyone is interested, just a little bit of facts on some of the people we've worked with. So first of all, to understand what tokenomics is, we need to understand what tokenomics is. And there's a
sorry, Dan, real quick. I think, can you like make it full screen or press like that top left thing to hide the thing on the left, just so. Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah, nice. Yeah, it feels more like a presentation.
Okay, yeah, cool. So yeah, first of all, we need to understand what tokenomics is. And there is a very common misconception about tokenomics. And that is what you see here in terms of this table is tokenomics. Now, many people, again, think that tokenomics is simply this table. And what they are actually referring to is the allocations, the vesting schedule, and the supply. And this is one element of tokenomics, it's the supply side. But this is the same as looking at a car door and calling it the whole car. It is, again, only one element of the tokenomics. So this is like I said, very key distinction. Next slide. So what is tokenomics? Tokenomics is the economics of the token. And there are two parts to tokenomics, the economy and the tokens. Hence, tokenomics is the economics of the token. And you can't design a good token without actually understanding both. And it's very important that you remember there's, again, two parts, the economy and the tokens. So what is an economy? Well, an economy is simply a system of production, trade. Again, it's on the slide, but consumption of goods. It's, in essence, the flow of value within an ecosystem. It includes the individuals, the government or the party in charge, the businesses. And again, the main things are the flow of values, the incentives, the constraints. And the token economy is no different. It is, in essence, a economy for the project. And we look at projects and businesses almost like nation states. The same way a nation has macro and microeconomic policy, your token economy should have the same thing. But this is more about the token utility, so I won't dive into that too much. And before I dive on to the next question, does anyone have any ideas of what a token actually is or want to answer, or should I just move on? We've got a hand. Alex, what is a token?
I think a token is an asset in crypto.
Okay, so what a token is actually, it's a vehicle for transferring value. It is a completely empty shell. It's a piece of code, an IOU. It's nothing. It is literally inherently valueless. It has there's no value in calling something a token. What is actually the value of a token is what that token represents. And again, there's different things a token can represent, but at its core, a token is just a valueless shell, if you will. And moving on to value, there are 5 main types of value that we at Simplicity see for tokens to hold. There is the monetary value, which is a medium of exchange or a store of value. Bitcoin, many people say it's a store of value. Some people argue it's a medium of exchange. It has monetary value. There's political value. If you are a decentralized protocol, which has governance and voting rights, then there is value in that governance and voting rights to the community. There is social value, status, access, identity. This is more so seen in NFTs. Again, you look at something like Bored Ape Yacht Club, when it was very popular, it had status. You had status if you had a Bored Ape PFP. You had access to the private groups. Social also sort of applies to meme coins as well. In some cases, if you're a Retardio and you hold a Retardio coin, you're part of that social circle. And there are some cult-like communities which also hold that social status if you hold the coin. So yeah, and then there's speculative, which is purely just the price action and trading. People are buying purely because they believe the price will go up. And again, this is more so for meme coins, but there's speculative value across the entire crypto asset class. Even right now, when it looks like we're at the bottom, when it's all doom and gloom and we're in a major bear market, a lot of valuations are still overinflated and speculative. And finally, there's the data side, which is the information access, the analytics, and you can actually store data within a token. So now that we understand what sort of values a token has, we need to understand the purpose of a token. And there are 4 main token purposes that exist. I realize that it still says 3 there. That's because I added one in on second draft, and we will get into that. So the first one is decentralization. Decentralization removes a single point of control, so the network can run despite actors leaving. DeFi is a prime example. It also allows you to have incentive alignment, i.e. carrot and stick. We can look at, for example, something like GMX as a protocol, which is a decentralized perp DEX before Hyperliquid, and they basically used their tokens to align incentives amongst the actors, whereby you had the traders, you had the people providing the liquidity, and then just participants who are earning yield. And the token was used as a nice central point to sort of align everyone. We have network security, which is economic security. So if you have a network of validators and nodes, you have staking and slashing, and you can economically secure the network. Now, this sort of falls under decentralization, and I think a better way to put it would be 1B rather than 2, hence the 3 core purposes. Next, transfer of data. So as we said, a token can store data. Well, you can also have the purpose of transferring that data, especially with the rise and growth of ZK or zero knowledge. Again, it's a useful case for a token. And then the final one is sovereignty. This allows you to basically control your monetary policy. One question that I ask everyone when they want a token is, why not just use stablecoins? Why do you actually need your own token? And sovereignty is a very valid answer. It actually allows you, again, to control that monetary policy, and you negate any counterparty risk. Then we have to ask why actually use a token. So there are 6 main reasons to use a token. We have directing user behavior, which in essence is the carrot and stick of the decentralization. It's the incentive alignment side. The perfect example of this is Bitcoin, the first crypto. Crypto miners, or Bitcoin miners rather, do not need to actually verify the network. They can do whatever they want with their Bitcoin miner. They can try to attack the network, but their behavior is incentivized because whoever validates the block gets the block rewards. So again, it's about incentivizing behavior and ensuring that your community or your users act in the way you want them to. Bootstrapping network effects. This was a lot more prevalent in the past, whereby tokens instantly got you lots of hype with an airdrop, but the space is now diluted, so it's less prevalent. However, still, you can use a token and token incentives to overcome the cold start problem, to attract users, and to try and grow out your business. This is why so many tokens are given out as rewards, and we will get into this later. But one key thing I want to mention is, if you need to use your token to acquire users and you can't acquire users without your token, it's a failed business. The token shouldn't be the core reason why you're acquiring users. It should be a additional benefit or an additional GTM to actually help acquire those users. Then we have actually enabling user ownership. So again, tokens unlock a new model. We're seeing the rise of revenue sharing tokens. Meteora sort of gained a lot of traction in Solana as well with user ownership. And we're almost seeing a convergence between equity and tokens, and utility tokens, security tokens always existed. And that convergence is sort of driving the need for a token. And then the next 3 reasons are programmable incentives. This is why institutions absolutely love tokens. If you look at BlackRock and their BUIDL program, the main reason they built that out was because of the programmable incentives, or programmable, not necessarily just incentives, but programmability of smart contracts. So you can rewards. Oh yeah, we got a question, Alex.
No, it's the term specifically is programmable money. So like all of the onboarding, offboarding, KYC, AML, all of that shit is done on the smart contract level, and they don't need to have staff to do that.
Yeah. So programmable money, and again, it allows you to dynamically change rewards based on on-chain conditions. It allows you to change, again, basically just allows you that composability of programmability. And that's something that fiat loyalty programs actually cannot replicate. And that is one of a key differentiator between on-chain loyalty programs and off-chain loyalty programs. And I use the term loyalty programs loosely because we haven't really seen too many on-chain loyalty programs be done successfully. There's, of course, fundraising. Now, it used to be a lot easier to raise with a token. You pretty much said you're launching a token. You had 10,000, 100,000 bots on Twitter, instantly got money in the past. The space has, of course, evolved and changed. However, you now don't essentially, you don't need to rely on VCs anymore. With tokens, you can fundraise via your network, via your community in a much easier manner. It's almost like a crowdfunding tool, and it is more open because there's less restrictions, especially when you look at sort of what is needed to invest into equity, and when you try to angel into equity, it's a lot harder. And then the final one is cross-border 24/7 settlement. Now, again, with this, the question would be, stablecoin sort of solves this, but regardless, it's a use case for a token. So before you think about a token, you have to get your business right first. And what I mean by that is you need to understand the value of your business. What do you actually create or capture? How that value actually flows within your business. So let's say the value of your business is data. How do you actually use that data? Are you selling that data to hedge funds? Are you selling that data to influencers, to corporations? So what is the value? Then how does that value actually flow within the business? And then which actors actually behave within your business? So is it users, builders, partners, or regulators here? Again, if you are selling data to institutions, you have the location where you're acquiring that data. It might be retail users. You have yourself as the business, and you have the institutions that you're selling it to. So you need to understand the core elements of your business before you can even think about a token. So now the fun time. Let's actually move into creating an example or looking at how you should think about example token utilities. Again, what is your business? There's a bunch of businesses here listed out, but are you a neobank, an Oracle? These are sort of more crypto sort of centric. Are you a data play? You can pretty much have any business out there. Once you figure out what business you are, you need to understand the value flow. So again, here's some examples. With a stablecoin, you mint a stablecoin, you can earn yield on it. You can use that stablecoin on Aave or transact with that stablecoin. If you're DEX or SEX, someone deploys liquidity, someone else trades against that liquidity. Within Deepin, you have hardware which is bought and sold. From that hardware, you acquire data, and then a different user pays for that data. So again, you just need to understand who the users are, how that value flows, and this should be the first thing you think about before thinking about token utilities. Okay, yeah. So what can the token be used for? So with Xturn, the token can be used for payment. Within a chain, it's the security or medium of exchange side. In a marketplace, medium of exchange. In Deepin, it's payment and incentive alignment. Within a DEX, it's the liquidity pools and incentives. And in stablecoins, it's debt, risk, and governance. So again, you need to, after you've mapped out the users, the flow of value, well, what the value is, the users, and that flow of value, then you can start to think about what the token purpose is, what can be, where the token can be implemented. So let's focus in on X2Earn. With X2Earn, it's pretty simple. The token is used as a payment mechanism. But how does that actually work and look like? Well, in X2Earn, you have a medium of exchange. The user completes an activity and gives data to a company. This can be running, this can be swiping, this can be whatever you want it to be. Again, it can be anything to earn. Even if you're playing a game, technically it's then not necessarily data being acquired by the game. And that's why play to earn didn't work. But let's home in on something where data is actually acquired by the company. So yeah, the user completes the activity, the company gets data, the company sells that data, in turn it buys back tokens and sends those tokens to its users. Now, the token purpose here is sovereignty. Anyone, anywhere around the world can be paid. With Xturn, you'll typically see it is lower tier, less economically developed countries, let's say, where you have most of your users, because for them, that small amount of money is much more of a differentiator in their life compared to more economically developed countries. And the token value here is monetary in terms of payments, and then data, the value that the data users provide. So that's sort of how you think about what you can actually tokenize in your business and how you should think about the token utilities. And just some reminders, because this is things that everyone gets wrong. A token is not a business model. Again, now that the space is maturing, we're seeing less of this, but some people still think the token is the core business model. It's not a fundraising tool first and a product second. You need to get your product, your business right, and then you can think about where the token can be implemented. Even if the token is a core part of your business, you have to understand the value flows first. A token is a coordination mechanism for an existing economy. So that sort of leans into the second point. And if an economy does not exist, or you don't understand it yet, the token will 100% fail. You need to understand what the economy is, again, the value flow and the users. And I know I'm going into this a lot and I've repeated that point a lot, but it's very important you get those fundamentals right. And yeah, if you get the business right, you can then use the token to amplify it. And that's always how you should think about a token. It should be an amplification tool, not the core business. And again, I'm repeating that point, but it's just one where if you don't understand that, you will fail as a project. So yeah, that is pretty much the presentation on token utilities. Again, you have all of our information already, so this slide's a bit pointless here, but does anyone have any questions to get started?
Just as per usual, I always have a few questions just to get the ball rolling. Two things. I think firstly, it's not really a question. I think maybe you can showcase the YouTube videos that we have about like from the course. They might be quite useful for some people here. But secondly, I was actually having this conversation with a project earlier as an example, right? And I'm just curious to hear your thoughts. So the logic being, if you're targeting Web3 users, you're a crypto project in crypto, and your competitors are doing rewards and they onboarded their initial users with airdrops and all of these kind of incentives, it's very logical to then need to also recreate some sort of incentives to try and take those users away onto your platform, right? So for example, the same thing that Hyperliquid did against GMX, or other examples that I've instantly forgotten, but there are other things there where a new project came in, rewarded, gave a massive airdrop. Oh, the NFT marketplace, Blur, right? Sensational airdrop, one of the best ever created. So how do you think that kind of how do you think a project should balance this initial incentive boost in order to make sure that they don't just over incentivize a project and just the users, and attract the wrong sort of people and basically have a token that's there for the immediate short term and then becomes completely useless, and then the whole project dies because everyone leaves immediately after? Like, what are your thoughts in general?
So I would say when it comes down to looking at projects where they had very successful in onboarding campaigns of the token, and that being the primary token utility, there's a few key things to note. First of all, context. When was Blur's airdrop? When was Hyperliquid's airdrop? When did they actually gain market traction? The market is completely different now. You look at retail, if you will, or users, there's a lot less retail users than there was in 2024 or 2025 and peak hyperbole era. Now, that's the first thing. You need to understand the market space. The next thing is you need to understand that the users that are left are cult users, if you will. In the past, again, earlier years of crypto, it was actually a very fruitful career path to just farm airdrops. You could use all of these different products and earn hundreds of thousands of dollars a year from airdrops. Crypto has completely changed to where the space is so diluted now that airdrops just don't hold the same weight. I personally can't remember the last big airdrop which was received by a community or by people, or the last big win, if you will. And if you look at previous market cycles, there was ENS was a massive airdrop. Again, you mentioned Blur. There's definitely lots of others, which again, I just can't remember right now. But the market has completely shifted from this sort of incentivization airdrop model. So that's the first thing you need to keep in mind. The second thing is you need to look at realistically, how much is your business earning? How much people will be buying the token? Because speculative buy pressure is down as well. That's also a key caveat. When you had these big airdrops in the past, there was a lot of speculative buy pressure that came in. Speculative buy pressure isn't there anymore. In the past, a Binance listing, instantly met 10 million in buy pressure. Now you'll be lucky to get 1 million from a Binance listing. Coinbase listings in the past, your token would 3x overnight in 2022, 2023. Now again, that buy pressure just isn't there. So you need to look at how much revenue you are actually generating, how much people and users will actually buy the token, and how much buy pressure you can expect versus how much buy pressure you can inject into the token. Everyone is going to sell your airdrop instantly. The space has changed. No one is going to hold the token. Even if you incentivize them, even if you say you can get a airdrop that's 5 times bigger if you hold for a month, people aren't going to hold. They have learned their lessons. The market is dire. So you realistically can only incentivize as much of your token at launch in terms of how much buy pressure you actually can facilitate to counter negate that sell pressure. Because if you have a bad launch, it's, again, you're not going to be able to revive your token. It's a lot harder than having a decent launch. I don't know if that answered that. I touched on a lot of points.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, that's good. That was a good breaking down.
Okay. Yes. Any other questions from anyone or any specifics? If anyone wants to talk about their project, I can talk about how the token utilities can come into play for them, how I would think about it.
I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but obviously from my side, I don't know, Abraham, I know you guys are moving to the layer 1. Maybe it would be interesting to discuss. I don't know, Anthony, from your side as well. Obviously, you guys will have your own token. Maybe Brian from Moonwell. Again, not trying to put anyone on the spot, but yeah, it's a good time to discuss just any token utilities ideas, because I know a lot of people have a lot of ideas, but yeah.
Yeah, Alex, thank you. One utility idea that we are implementing for tokenomics with the KCOM is VKCOM, which is basically a measure of also when you stake of rewards and also time. So the more you're invested in, you will basically generate these VKCOM tokens, which are non-transferable, and they have no like outside value of just holding them. And whenever you unstake, they completely wipe off. So it just measures and keeps you loyal to the project.
Quick question. So this is sort of similar to VE tokens, which are sort of very notorious in DeFi early on. Why does it keep you loyal? What is the actual use case of that token when I'm earning it? It showcases that I've been loyal and that I've been staking for longer. But what can I actually use those V tokens for?
Yeah. I forgot to mention that part. So the more VKCOM you have, basically all the utility that usually DexU has and lending protocols basically having a higher APY. So the more VKCOM you have, the higher APY you'll have on when you lend, the more discounts on when swapping you'll have. So basically all the rewards just deeper and better than everyone else.
I think, Dan, it's a bit more akin to that Bearer project.
I think Camino did this back in the day.
As in a way, if you hold, if you hold a token or you do something with a token, then you get more rewards unlocked later.
Yeah, not specifically later. Yeah, I mean, the more time you have, the more time you kept them staked, the more you get that VKCOM token, which is like a symbol. That it's a symbol that you get more depending on the time that the own time and amount. So it's not like a regular staking where you just put a based on the amount you put, the rewards you get is based on that. Also, we measure time. So even if you have a small amount and you're loyal to the token, then you'll be rewarded as much.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think in terms of DeFi and specifically DEXs, again, you don't need to reinvent the wheel necessarily. It's a model that has worked in the past. You can implement in a similar manner to what has been done by other projects. Again, I think not so much on the utility side, more on the economy side. And Alex will run through this throughout the week during the other presentations and the modeling side. You just need to make sure that you're still allowing yourself to be sustainable. You don't want to be giving out too much rewards in the long run. So from a utility perspective, it makes sense. It's worked in the past. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to be careful on the implementation side.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's something. Also, something that we're doing is, we're measuring, based on the supply shocks. We want to, pair it with the marketing and new features. So whenever we know there's a big supply shock in month X, we want to release Y features for them to give them a bit of incentive to hope. Like you said, when you airdrop, obviously they will sell, but it's not an airdrop; it's just unlocking with the vesting. So that's also something that we're planning to do.
No, that makes complete sense. Yeah, I think again, as a token economy, as a token utility driver, completely fine. I think Alex will be able to help out a bit more on the sort of side of the implementation, again, ensuring that the policy is sustainable around it, and on the modeling side, which I guess we can bring up now, Alex, on the modeling front as well. I think you messaged your projects at least.
Yeah, well, as in the fact that we'll do the modeling.
Yeah.
So so we'll run a quick Monte Carlo simulation for everyone, and I've sent out a questionnaire for everyone to fill out. Basically, long story short, when you model anything to do with crypto tokens, it all boils down to buy and sell pressure. Everything else is irrelevant and a scam and a waste of time. It's literally always either sell pressure or buy pressure. And how you get that sell and buy pressure, of course, that's your economy. That's all the different mechanics, different utilities, tokenomics, vesting schedules, blah, blah, blah. You can boil it down into the numbers. You put those numbers together into an automated market maker or some other sort of market maker, and out comes the price, which then you can plug in over time with some sort of recursive element, so that as the business scales, as the amount of users change, it all impacts the current price, not like the immediate price on listing, which is a bit anyways, point being, we're going to do these models for everyone. The questionnaire asks for two things: the buy side, which we boil down to very simple things. Number one is just how many users you're going to have and how much money you think they're going to be spending on buying the token. The second thing is how much money will the team themselves pump into the token over the first 3 months, which is kind of the most critical months, if you will, just to create that nice price chart, so that then it attracts more people, because a good chart is your best marketing in crypto. And lastly, the expected kind of expected like buy pressure on TG itself. So like, how much hype do you think you can generate? How much dollars do you think will go into buying the token on launch? And we're, on the flip side, it will be your tokenomics. So like your team allocation, your investor allocation, and so on and so forth, and just all those vesting schedules. So the questionnaire asks for both of those. It should be quite quick. You don't need to think about it too much. Just whatever comes to mind, whatever you think right now will be best. Obviously, if you're not sure about your tokenomics, then we can run the models in like 2 weeks' time. There's no particular rush. We do want to do this for everyone that has a token by the end of the accelerator. Don't necessarily need to do it now if you're still working. And obviously, I know Dan's the projects that Dan is leading. A lot of them is still you guys are still figuring the details out from my side as well. So no specific rush, but that's kind of the question, and the models will be visualizing the token price. Let's say your token price goes up, then comes back down below listing, then starts to go back up again. Well, maybe we can extend the vesting schedule. So maybe we can reduce the fully diluted valuation, or maybe we can, increase the amount of users that will be buying the token, which we don't increase the amount of users buying the token. We just delay the token launch until you have more users and more people in your economy that will be buying the token. So we'll discuss all of those results of the models with everyone, and discuss what we can do in terms of the tokenomics. So that's on the modeling side.
And Alex sort of touched on it, but just from my side, projects that I'm working with, I will by the end of the week have like a loose document with utility ideas, sort of how I can see the flow of value working within your business for the token. Again, just sort of touching on the points we touched on in the presentation. It won't be anything finalized. It will be more so thoughts and notes, and then we can, during our one-to-ones, discuss them and try to home in the economic flow and the token utilities.
Perfect. Then I guess if there's no other questions, we can probably wrap this up, to be honest, Dan, I think. Unless I think, to be fair, maybe if you want to showcase the utility things from the course, if anyone wants to like explore a bit more, or maybe even touch on some key utility. To be fair, whilst people are here, maybe obviously if anyone wants to drop off, feel free, but maybe like touch on the staking, governance, burning utilities, just like in general, what your thoughts are and so on. I think might be good.
Yeah, sure. So here's just a quick little link to our YouTube channel. We have a video on utilities. Again, it's nice and short. Utilities is the easy module. We also have videos on what is it? Governance as a utility, burning as a utility, and staking as a utility. So again, these are very common utilities. Just to touch on them, governance, I know that's something that's very popular as a talking point. Realistically, most governance is flawed. We haven't done this research recently, but I think it was around September-ish last year, I don't remember the exact date, we had our analysts run research into governance of major protocols and how much was actually being used. And that was around, I think it was less than 4% of people were voting. We can dig up the numbers. But yeah, governance, it's a big Ponzi scheme in a lot of cases. Not Ponzi, it's a big hoorah in a lot of cases, and not many people actually participate in governance. So if you want to include governance, you need to have people do that. So if you want to include governance, you really need to think about how to ensure people are actually partaking and that you actually have a fair system. With regards to staking, so with staking, there's three main things to, and let me just stop sharing the screen. There's three main things to look at, which is where is the value of your rewards actually coming from? And what I mean by that is that you can have taxes be the rewards that you are providing, which is whereby if there's a fee in your system, you can then reallocate those fees to stakers. You can also use buybacks. So if you're generating revenue, you can buy the token and then redistribute it to staking rewards. And then you can also have newly minted tokens. Now, when it comes down to it, all of them have different benefits and negatives. For newly minted tokens, it's a very, very low cost acquisition tool in the short run. In the long run, it will kill your token price if not designed correctly. But in the short term, you're basically not paying anything to acquire users. And then in terms of that as well, yeah, it causes long-term inflation. In terms of buybacks, you are using actual revenue you're generating to reward people. That revenue can be used elsewhere to improve the business. Are you sure you're actually doing the right thing? And again, it does avoid inflation, but that revenue you're using could be used better elsewhere. And you also need to think about, are you just wasting revenue on vagrants, in essence? People who don't actually care about your project, who aren't using it, and who are just staking and going to the highest rewards and jumping all over the place. Again, this is a lot less common in crypto now, but it still happens. And then taxes, again, if you're using fees to pay other users, are you harming your users to actually pay random people or speculators? So one key thing when you're using staking, well, this is staking for rewards. When you're using staking for rewards, you need to think about who you're rewarding. Are they actually part of the ecosystem? And that is one of the key focuses. And then where those rewards are actually coming from. Now, you can also have staking to lock certain elements of your feature, certain features of your platform or business. And this is more like pay to access and almost like a subscription model. And that's a different discussion. And staking there can make sense, again, depending on how you design it. But you just need to be aware anyone can unstake and dump those tokens in the long run. And that basically means you are giving away the service for free, kind of. There is the opportunity cost of holding the tokens, but you're not actually generating money from that. And then the final side is burning. Burning, again, is common in crypto, but really and truly, a lot of the times it's people think it will increase price, and it kind of increases market cap, if you will, market cap to FTV ratio, rather. But burning doesn't really do much on paper. It causes a lot of complications. Exchanges, CoinGecko and MarketCap don't really like it because they have difficulties with actually understanding what the supply is, and typically wouldn't recommend burning. And as much as it used to be a marketing play in the past, oh, we just burn 50% of our supply, no one cares now. Again, the space has changed dramatically. So that's those three utilities. Yeah. And again, there's more information on the YouTube course. I will share that video in the discussions chat. And if anyone has any questions, just feel free to ping us at any time. Again, for my projects, I will be working through the utilities, the flow of value. And then on Monday, or maybe sooner, we can have those discussions. And yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, then yeah, thank you, everyone. This is a wrap, I guess. Oh, we've got a hand up. Oh no, do we?
Yeah, Brian.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was an accident. I think it may have, I don't know.
Hello. I see you've unmuted, but I don't see your mic speaking at the minute. I don't know if it's not connected. Brett, I also see you unmuted. Is there anything you want to raise? Okay, I guess then that's
There was a lot of suspense.
Brian, I will drop a message in our group chat just to see what it was you wanted to cover, and maybe we can sync up on a call now.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so
Cheers,
sorry
everyone.
for putting you on the spot there,
Thank
man. Perfect. Cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Calling.